Right, and I believe we are live. So, hello everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for the second semi-final of the Currie Cup. Just a minute until kickoff, so slightly late getting this all up and stuff like that. Had to go and sort out the review of the Lions versus Bulls. The Bulls are in the final, which means the winner of this game will join the Bulls next week at Loftus, a confirmed home final for the Bulls, who have been the best side in the competition. So I suppose it does make sense that they, get the home final. But an interesting game here today. The first time these two sides will play against each other. So you can't really go on previous encounters and make any predictions. Both of these games, or the original games in the group stages, was called off as a result of COVID protocols and stuff like that. So yeah, we can't really point to any sort of previous game as a reference point. But hopefully we'll just get some good rugby and some nice running rugby, which we started to see in the second half of the Bulls-Lions game. The Bulls-Lions game was a weird one. It was just frustrating. I think the Lions just discipline cost them. They just weren't really good enough, in terms of discipline, tackling, and those sort of things. And I mean, that's just where the Bulls thrive, because they just get the basics right. They make their tackles. They make a count when they get into the half. They find their points. They take penalties. They take the points on offer. So yeah, frustrating day as a Lions fan, but now I can sit back as a neutral and hopefully enjoy some top-class rugby. So let's hope that this match definitely lives up to that billing. A moment of silence here for Minister Jackson Tembu, who died this week of COVID-19, which sort of serves another stark reminder of just how serious the second wave is. But at least now we can sort of get away from our everyday life and watch some, hopefully, top-class rugby. So let's get some score predictions in nice and early. Let me know what your predictions are, who you are going for. I cannot show the game. That is against copyright law. So you and lots of people that are asking, just know that right now that the game will not be shown. That is a result of copyright law, unfortunately. So if you're in South Africa, the game is being shown on DSTV now. And if you're overseas, I know in the UK, I think they show it on YouTube actually, which is quite a nice win. Okay, so get your score predictions down in the comments below. In the preview, I said the Sharks by 5. Right, so let's just make sure we get the kickoff right in terms of our time, our clock and stuff like that, and then we can really start looking at the teams and get stuck into the game itself. Looks like a beautiful day in Cape Town. Looks like it's nice, hot, nice and dry. Some conditions for some running rugby, hopefully. The timer is on. We've got kickoff, and Currie Bosch goes short. And that doesn't travel 10. So that's actually an early mistake by the Sharks. An interesting tactic there to go short right from the get-go. So, yeah, a bit of something different from the Sharks immediately. In terms of the sides, let's get that going, and let's have a look at what we've got on today. So, for the Western Province, I reckon it's pretty much a full-strength side, bar no Stephen Kitshoff. But if we look at the back line there, we've got Damien Willemse, Sergio Pearson, Dan du Plessis, Rix Pretorius, Angelo Davids, Tim Sewell at 5. I prefer that to Damien Willemse. And Herschel Yankees, who's got a little bit to prove. I think he's just dropped off a bit this season. Then we've got John Augustus, big fan of him, nice big ball carrier. Johan de Toy, much like his brother, very good in the defense and a big unit. Sia Khaleesi is back to captain the side. JD Shikelin, Salman Murat are the lock pairing. France Malherbe, Bongi Manambi, and Ali Famark is the front row. As we have a reset on the first scrum. And then on the bench, Scarra Interbeni, Leon Lyons, Neetling for Sheer. So it's a decent front row there. Chris Van Zyl, Urs van Rijn provide some nice depth there in the forwards. As with Jaco Kitsio, gone with a sort of 6-2 split. And then Paul de Vet and Ruan Nel is the backline options, or are the backline options. I'm surprised that Ruan Nel's not starting, to be honest. John Dobson has said that Ruan Nel is probably their starting outside centre, but difficult to ignore the form that Dan du Plessis has been showing lately. And then in terms of the Sharks side, a very, very good Sharks side. Two interesting calls in the tight 5, so we'll talk about that when we get there. But Apelele Fassi back from injury. I think it'll be a while before he's playing his best rugby, but Spoon Corsi and Yao Penke are the wings. The Kanya captain, Marius Lowe, there as well. The centre pairing, so he's back in the mix. Currie Bosch, Sanela Nahamba, Sikamoza Noche, Henko Penta, and Dylan Richardson. I mean, it's a really good loose trio, and Dylan Richardson in particular has been very good all season. And then Ruben van Heerden, JJ van der Mesh are the locks. So interesting to go. JJ van der Mesh, not Hiron Andrews, Thomas du Toit, Fez Mbate, and Oxenchair is the front row. Now, just quickly before we look at the bench, there is a scrum penalty, and Currie Bosch is going to line up a 50-meter penalty first up in the middle of the park. So we'll get into the game right now, but just to wrap up the bench, which is Dan Euster, Mzamo Majola, Michael Kumbarai, Hiron Andrews, Timolani Boli, Jaden Hendrickson, Jeremy Ward, and Mani Liebach. Meanwhile, Currie Bosch has literally on the center spot of the field, he's got an opportunity to try and put the Sharks ahead from a scrum penalty. And early warning signs for Ali Famark, who's going to have a big role to play. No Stephen Kitsov, which is a huge loss to the Western Province. And yeah, look, Thomas the Tank du Toit is back, and he wins a penalty early on. We know Bosch should have no issues with the kick here. We know he's got the distance. He struck that very well, and that straight to the middle. So first blood to the Sharks. What a bit of a frantic start there, so I can just sort of relax here. In terms of score predictions, we have RVG 2000 saying Western Province 20, Sharks 15. And Zeko van Veek has said Sharks by 10. He's going 25-14 to the Sharks. So one person going Western Province, one person going Sharks. Must admit, I am backing the Sharks. Also, very exciting, at least for me, is that I managed to find a beer, which is quite cool. In fact, I actually managed to find two. Managed to sort of dig them up in the garden. So, cheers to the Bulls fans. Congratulations on your final. As a Lions fan, I'm a bit in mourning, so this is a bit of a misery drink. But the Sharks have retained possession. So then the Humber lifts that very high. Hasn't gone particularly far, if I'm honest. But it's a good chase by Yao Penke, who keeps the possession. And now Currie Bosch, once again, he goes up. In the preview, the Sharks like to get up high and test them, the Western Province on the high ball quickly. Hershey Yankees has shaved his head. I must admit, at first glance, I had to go and check the news and see if he wasn't replaced in the lineup. Not a great pass there, but Tim Sweel puts it up. So far, very much a kicking battle. And that chase is all right. The Western Province have won it back. Oh my goodness, this is just everywhere at the moment. Finally, we've got a break in play. And I can actually have a sip of my beer. So, to Western Province Shark supporters, good luck. Have a good game. I'm out, so I'm just a neutral these days. Oh, that's nice and cold. Those in Gauteng will know it is very, very warm today. The beer is going down very well. Right, so another scrum. So we saw a scrum penalty for the Sharks in the first scrum. Ali Famark will be under pressure all games to try and prove his credentials. Obviously, no, Stephen Kitsov is a huge loss, but John Dobson spoke very highly of Ali Famark. He said that he's more than capable of filling in. So we have to wait and see. Zekovac also looking for a cold one. Listen, I pulled out 4 beers and then thought, no, I can't actually do this. We've got the Currie Cup final in a week's time, so I had to sort of ration myself. So yeah, we've got 2 for today. We'll have 2 next week. Yeah, maybe I'll try and dig up some old ones as well. Risa said 15-12 to the Sharks. And Marius Lowe's under pressure as the Western Province have kicked through, but the Sharks players are back to help them, and they will hopefully retain. Well, for them, hopefully retain that. Am I the only one with the whole liquor ban who's been like looking at old bottles that were given as gifts, and suddenly they look very tempting? I remember I had a 6-pack of Corona, and they were a gift from my mates. And listen, as sentimental as they are, sometimes needs must trump sentiment. So yes, I have managed to salvage some beers. So hopefully you've always got some beers stashed away. I'm not the only one drinking on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. As the Western Province are on the attack here. About the Sharks 22 on the left-hand side of the field. The Herschel Yankees looks completely different with that haircut. Rush defense by the Sharks, but well, that's a high tackle by Dylan Richardson. Marius, did you miss that? Okay, well, you missed that. I think Dylan Richardson lucky to get away with that one. And Western Province going backwards, so Tim Sweel kicks over the top, but Currie Bosch has marked it. Keepers, I mean, for the first 7 minutes, everything's happening so far. I think lucky they didn't, Richardson. I think that was probably a penalty. Looked like a high tackle. Yeah, Reese, I'm watching on DSTV. It's the only way to watch it in South Africa. It says, go be up here. You've got this. Khaleesi and the boys got this. I hope it's a big game from Khaleesi because I think he's been under a lot of pressure and, in my opinion, a lot of unfair critics. Where I think as a result of a bad year last year, suddenly the sort of the ugly side of rugby fans has sort of popped up a little bit. So that is some brilliant defense by Husha Yankees. Well brushed off by Marius Lowe. But some nice rush defense there. It's a good start in the game, actually. Nice. And there's got turnover there. Well, not turnover, rather, but it was a turnover then a counter turnover. All the turnovers. High tempo game so far, and that's what we like to see. It was a very stop-start in the Lions-Bulls game in the initial stages, so good to see some continuity here so far as Currie Bosch goes high. Williamson, no issues with the chase, with the catch there. It's a great kick chase there, and I think Spoon Corsi has actually turned that over. And he's won a penalty. Yep. Second was in not yet. Looks at taking it quickly. Right, so let's see what we've got. We've got more Western Province supporters or more Shark supporters in the comments. Let me know. I was up against a lot of Bull supporters in the last stream. Weren't too many Lion supporters with me. But Currie Bosch, there's no ways. You are at altitude and Currie Bosch is, I mean, this must be about 67, 68 meters. And he's going to have a shot at goal. Look, he has kicked fantastically all season. So that's a great kick chase. Spoon Corsi Lacanya, I'm all over Damien Willemse. And Khaleesi can't get both of them off. So they see the penalty. So a big kick here from Kerwin. If he slots this, there'll be a huge warning for the Western Province. More to the point, it's been almost 10 minutes. I haven't had to stop the clock because we haven't had any stoppages, which is the way we want. Right, so we've got two Western Province supporters. So Shark supporters, you need to come out with your numbers here. Smash a like on the video as well. Let's try and get this stream up to 100 people. We had almost 200 in the last one, which was a record for the channel, which was really cool. So let's see if we can try and push the numbers here today. Right, slide to the right, 67 meters on. The distance looks good. Whoop. That is a monster of a kick. And Sharks take a 6-point lead. So that's a big warning. He can kick a ball, hey. I mean, between Tian Swanepoel and Currie Bosch, it's so good to see people, even France State, people with, 55, 60 meter kicks. Next, Francois Steyn. Yeah, look, I mean, boots-wise, I've seen very few players that strike a ball as cleanly as Currie Bosch does. And it's a huge thing to have. But it's a good restart take from the Sharks, and that's important. There's no point in scoring points if you're going to make a hash of the restart. So they've had two relatively successful reclaims, and Nahamba kicks it up. It's a good chase by Penke. But that's a nice inside ball from João Augustus, who runs it up for the first time. I think he's the next Wayne Vermeulen. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I think João Augustus is a very good player. Another good player, Salman Murat. I also think a future Springbok there. Very good tackler of the ball, but there's a penalty on the halfway line, and guess what? The Sharks will go for this again. So early discipline costing the Western Province. That was the issue with the Lions. Too many penalties. My friend says to you because I don't have DSTV and I want to hear the game. Well, thank you to you and the friend. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be able to show the game. Unfortunately, there's copyright issues, and it is very difficult to watch the game. So, yeah, instead of watching it alone, or if you can't watch it, hopefully this is the next best thing. We've got a scoreboard, we've got a timer, so we can at least keep you up to date with what's going on. And just chat some rugby. Currie Bosch, probably the best kicker in South Africa. I'm into that, can't really argue. Especially this season. Need to slow down. I'm going to be through these beers by the end of blooming first half. Right, so this for a 9-point lead. Sharks scoring at a point a minute almost, and it's not because they're scoring tries. I mean, that is huge. I mean, that was about a 50-meter kick, and he had at least 10 meters on that. So that's 9-0. I'll tell you, Currie Cup should kick this entire blooming semi-final at this stage. It looks like he could take a kick from anywhere in the field. That is a monster of a boot. Literally, Western Province, 3 penalties conceded, 9-0. Those are the margins you talk about. I mean, I don't think the Sharks have actually been in the Western Province half yet. But again, it's a good retake from the Sharks. Good take by Sriel, but a good chase by Yarpenke. That's pretty much what he does. You'll just chase that ball up and down the field the entire game. A good line by Frans Malherbe. Problem is Frans Malherbe, so he wasn't going to get anywhere quickly, but gets over the gain line. Now Sergio Pearson trying to get into it. A nice pass there. I mean, Hershey Yankees, when he gets to right, that ball in the breadbasket, ahead of the gain line. Not a great kick. It's a good tackle there. I mean, it wasn't a great kick chase, so I'm not quite sure. I mean, look, he's under pressure, so Hershey Yankees putting the up and under. Probably wasn't the right decision. And the Sharks have the ball again. So this is the problem with Western Province, just being a bit careless, I think, so far. It is only 30 minutes, though, so we can forgive them. Right, so now Hammer finds touch on the full. So Western Province will have an attacking lineup. Right, so Sigurd says, who do you think is the next Springbok captain in 5 years? I say Lekanya. I think a decent shout. Needs to. I mean, this will be a big opportunity here. You know, can you lead them to a Currie Cup? There are a lot of players. I mean, Sal Murat has been a captain. I quite rate him as well. Reese Pena says, in my opinion, better than Mornay in France. Yeah, I can go with that. I think at the moment, on current form, it's a terrible lineup by Western Province. Ooh, although that's straight up for Rickers Pretorius, and he'll go over. It's a knock-on. Sorry, my bad. Molly Swanepoel says, go Sharks. And Zeg van Beek says, if you want to win games, you have to stop giving away penalties and keep the ball in hand. The Lions know it too well, my friend. Okay, so it was a knock. I think it was a knock-on here by... Yeah, slight knock-on by JD Shikulin. Look, Rickers Pretorius thought he was through because it bounced very favorably for him. So it'll be a scrum here. It's a decent position, so if the Western Province can try and establish some scrum dominance and win a penalty, they can try and get back into this game or get into this game. But it's a big scrum battle between Ali Vermaak and Thomas the Tank. And that's where they're going to miss Stephen Kitsoff the most. And we're going to have a reset for a change. Right, so after another reset, I'm so bored of resets. I mean, they were talking about the amount of rugby that actually gets played, and I think it's like the Currie Cup and Super Rugby Unlocked has been something stupid, like 30 minutes in an 80-minute game of actual playing time. Everything else is resets, waiting for lineouts, etc., etc. That's a problem. I mean, we can't be playing less than half the blooming game actually playing the game. The last Currie Cup game at Newlands. Oh, and that's popped out of the back, and Hershey Yankees was alive to that. He's jumped all over that, and he's managed to hold on to that. So that's some great work from the Springbok scrum half, and that's a terrible clean out by... Actually, I think the clean out was fine. Someone came flying in there, was holding on though. So Hershey Yankees almost brilliantly there. Was well read, but just guilty of holding on. Okay, so no points for the Western Province, and Bosch will kick this as far down the field as he can, but he doesn't find touch, so that's a mistake. First mistake from Kerwin. Sergio Peterson will run inside. He chucks down the blind side to Dan du Plessis, who's got just Sinahama to beep, and Nahama makes a good tackle. Allows the reinforcements to arrive, and they look like they're going to try and hold him up. Dylan Richardson all over that. The ball spills out the back. And the Sharks are piling in there, but I think, no, the Sharks have won it. Sharks look up for it. Now, how much chips from the top? That's well read by Tim Swiel. He chucks it back inside to Damien Willemse, who, with a bit of time, will kick it downfield. A very high tempo game, this, which makes for some good watching. Oh, that's a terrible pass. Kerwin Bosch. I mean, under no pressure, saw Aprile Fassi next to him and pretty much tossed it at his feet. Can't really blame Fassi. That's terrible. So that's two mistakes from Bosch. First of all, didn't find the touch, and now threw a bit of a loose pass. That was a terrible pass. I don't even know what he was doing. Wasn't watching the man at his feet. Not good, not good. You can't be affording to make such basic errors in a semi-final. It can come back to haunt you. So another scrum. Let's hope for less resets. But look, I mean, if the Western Province can win a penalty here, they can get back onto the, well, can get onto the scoreboard, I suppose. Sharks look up for it though. They've been very, very active. They're chasing the ball hard. They're helping their mates when they go into contact. Solid scrum there. Damien Willemse, oh, tried a bit of a chicken wing pass there. And he's won a penalty, in fact. They say, judging that he wasn't a knock on, that it was a deliberate knockdown. The Province with a penalty, not really kickable, is right on the corner, so right on the edge of the field. So Tim Swiel will kick towards the corner. Thoughts on Marcel Coetzee joining the Bulls. I mean, what a signature that is. To have Marcel Coetzee back in this country is going to be huge. And if you've been watching anything of what he's been doing, he's been huge overseas. So, I mean, this is a Bulls loose trio that has Dwayne Vermeulen, Nizam Carr, Arno Buerta, Ulrich Loh, and now Marcel Coetzee. I mean, that's a cheat code. What do you think about Siakisi going to the Sharks rumors? Look, I think it will happen. So much of it makes sense. So, I mean, it's interesting because the problem is you've just got Dylan Richardson who's just come through a lot. So, and there's reasonable depth in the Sharks loose forwards, but I mean, he's such a marketable player at the moment. I mean, his quality, I'm not going to argue his quality. We've seen that he can do it. So, I mean, it's always going to be a good signing. But I think, from a marketing point of view, I mean, he's marketing gold. And the Sharks want to build a global brand. And he's probably the most marketable rugby player in the world right now. So, it'll be a great move from them. So, not a great line out. The Sharks won possession back and they hacked it downfield. Now, Sergio Peterson's cleaning up. But once again, the Sharks' defense is up there. Lekanya makes a tackle and Western Province are pinned back into their own half. So, it's all one-way traffic, really, at the moment. Western Province really struggling so far. I mean, the Sharks got a lot of loose forward. I mean, you've got James Fenter, who's barely playing at the moment, who I really rate. Then you've got Dylan Richardson, who's right, and that's Currie Bosch knocked on. I'll tell you, from here to zero, Currie Bosch kicked 3 beautiful penalties. Since then, has not found touch from a penalty, thrown a very poor pass to Aprile Fassi, and just knocked it on from a high ball there. Fulton Abana being rumoured to be the Stormers' backline coach. Look, I mean, the Stormers' backline is very disappointing, if I'm honest. I mean, it's difficult. I don't really know what he would be like as a coach. I mean, just because you're a good player doesn't make you a good coach. I mean, I like Brian. He's a fantastic character. We all know the quality he had. Yeah, I never really thought about him as a coach, to be honest. There's certain players you watch and you think they'll be on to coach. Something like Warren Whiteley, you can kind of understand why he's gone directly into coaching. But they could definitely use some help. So I don't think he can do much worse, to be honest. We were about Johan Goosen. I mean, that's just the Bulls at the moment. Bring in Johan Goosen, potentially Francois Hougaard, and they're building a squad to take on the European champions, the European heavyweights. So there were rumors that as a result of the Rainbow Cup, no, Hamba, that's so stupid. That the SATs could eventually go and play in the European Champions Cup, and if they are, you're going to need the squads, and to have somebody like Johan Goosen as a backup to Mornes, or backup for now, and then become your primary scrum half and fly half. I think Chris Smith's a great player as well. Francois Hougaard will be a nice boost. I mean, it's just good players. The Bulls are just signing fantastic players. So, what will be interesting to see is who the Sharks are going to sign. I mean, we all see the sort of Khaleesi rumors, but if they really are going to have this big money injection, and the whole conglomerate said that we want to make money by putting in money. So they want to bring in the best players. So in terms of players, I think the Sharks could bring in. I think they need an inside centre. I heard some rumours about Johan Janssen van Rensburg, who would be a huge signing for him. I don't know, I'm trying to think of the positions that the Sharks probably need. I mean, I'm outside centre. I play fast at fullback. Mani Liebach has lots of depth there. Probably need a bit of fly half depth. I suppose you got Mani Liebach, so I don't know, maybe not really. Come off, they're fine. So yeah, I mean, Khaleesi into the loose forwards, not a bad move. Maybe another lock. Probably need a tight head, to be honest. Thomas Toy can't stay fit, and a hooker. They'll need a hooker. So. Right, so Western Province have won a penalty here, and they've kicked it to the corner. So a big moment here. We're 22 minutes in. We've had no stoppages, which is massive. And they'll have a 5-meter scrum. So Bongi Manambi will find his man. I'm not too worried about that. Salman Murat's also Murat and Shiklin are very good in the line out. So this is a big moment for West Province. Shiklin goes up. He wins it. It's not safe to help the Kanya to break the line and making shots. Well, yeah, that's why I think that Johan. Oh, and the Sharks have turned that over. And this is the problem with West Province. It's a Hail Mary pass. Okay, they've knock on there. I mean, the Sharks turned it over and were then trying to toss the ball everywhere. Yeah, as I said, I think an inside centre will have to be the Sharks' priority. I mean, you go and get a big. You need to replace Andre Esthuizen. So, yeah, I mean, Johan Janssen van Rensburg, I think, would be a perfect foil for Lakanya. I mean, you've got the skill of and the pace, and then you've got just the sheer size of Johan Janssen van Rensburg. It would be a good match there, I reckon. But yeah, I think inside centre will probably be a priority, as will hooker, and maybe a tight head. Would be my first 3 positions I would strengthen if I was at the Sharks. First stoppage of the game, just to make my life a bit complicated. That sums it up. So 86%, 80% of the possession so far, or of the game, has been played in the Sharks half, and yet they're 9-0 up. That just shows you how the Western Province have had, same as the Lions really, they've had the possession, they've had the territory, but they can't do anything with it. And credit to the Sharks' defense, because they've looked very good so far. Lisi is off with blood, which is not good to see. Right, top point scorers. France State is sitting with 76, Bosch 65, and they pulled down. Okay, so Khaleesi got cut under his cheek, which means I assume Yaka Katsia's on. There's a rumor that Peter Steph Toy might go back to the Sharks. I don't see it because he's just signed apparently a massive contract. Whether they can actually afford that contract's another matter, but I mean, if you had a loose trio of Siko Mozenoche, Sia Khaleesi, and Pete Steph Toy, Dylan Richardson, Henk van Wyk, James Venter, all with, as your backups, I tell you, that's a hell of a loose trio to have. Jacob van Wyk says, but the Western Province need Ches and Colby for the fancy footwork. I would love to see Colby back in South Africa. That's exactly the type of player that we need to bring back. I'd like to just see some of the best players. If we're going to try, what I did a video about, I think on Wednesday, a couple of days ago, where we talked about how we try and improve SA Rugby. And we talked about the fact that we need to privatize more unions, put more money into it so that we can try and bring our best players back. Cheslin Colby, bring a Faf de Klerk back. Jesse Creel too. Yeah, look, I mean, Jesse Creel's playing in Japan at the moment, and Rassi is not a very big fan of Japan. He doesn't really rate it. So I wouldn't surprise if he's on his way back. I just don't really know where he'd go. Maybe, to be fair, the province could probably use him. And that's a knock on there from the Western Province. The Kanya pounces on that. The Sharks get into the Western Province half, and if they get the oh my living, oh! So Nene Nahamba has just been knocked into 2022. That was a test you made. Siko Mozenoche, you are buying him all the beers after the game. That was terrible. Meanwhile, Sergio Peterson on his bicycle, he puts the ball down, and how fast he's going to do the same thing. Oh my goodness, this is ridiculous to watch. Okay, penalty to the Western Province. Nene Nahamba, if he's all right, then credit to him, because Siko Mozenoche popped the ball up. So Nene Nahamba jumped up, and I don't know who it was, but he got absolutely smoked. Jumped up. I mean, it's Angelo Davis, one of the be fair, the second smallest person, and he absolutely brutalized Nahamba. But the Western Province have got a penalty, so they can try and set up another line out and try and get some points on the board. Oh, goodness me, that's a horrible hit. Yeah, look, Sukumo's not chasing. You owe Nahamba big time, mate. Can't be doing that to your teammates. That's just not fair. Right, another chance for Western Province. 5 meter, and they've lost it again. Oh my hat. Province supporters, what is going on with your lineout? I just said, you got Bongi Manambi, you got Salman Rat and JD Shikelin. Your lineout should be so solid. And you've lost another one there. And that's a knock-on. Right, well, what was quite a back and forth game has become a little bit messy at the moment. We're going to have a scrum here. And the Western Province just sloppy at the moment. Please do smash a like on the video. We're going to try and get this stream up to over 100 people. So smash a like because that helps it there. Also subscribe to the channel if you are new. We hit our 500 subscriber mark today, which is very cool. So the next one is on the road to 600. So yeah, smash a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're going to have a scrum here to the Western Province. Watchalong fever. Yeah, 100%. Just don't know what to do. They're right here and they've had so many opportunities and they can't get any points. Okay, so we've got an advantage here for the Western Province. And yeah, Nahamba, I think, is going to get a bit of a talking to you. I'm trying this to the commentary. Yeah, so the Kanya, I'm being told the discipline is just not great. That's 3 penalties in a row, and Nahamba is in danger here. He does live on the edge, just trying to tap the ball down, stuff like that, just doing some stupid things, really. And if he doesn't be careful, that it is a cardable offense. And it'll be ludicrous to lose your scrum off just for basically being stupid. But yeah, let's try and get up to, maybe we can try and aim for, 20 likes by the end of the first half. So if you're watching, we've got 77 people watching, so if a quarter of you smash the like, then we'll get up there. Who do you think is going to win? I went Sharks by 5. That was my prediction. Hey, the Western Province won a line out. And the maul's going. Not going much here. They've used it once. Call has come. There's a bit of momentum. JJ Van der Mesh has come through the middle, though. And he's holding up Bongi Manambi. That is immense strength. And they've turned it. Oh, no, they haven't. It's a penalty. Okay, they didn't come through the middle. JJ Van der Mesh thought he'd come through the middle and held it up, but apparently illegally so, and they'll have another opportunity. To be fair, if the Western Province keep doing this, there must be a yellow card coming out soon. Okay, can they do this once again? The maul is set. This looks like a much better maul. It's gone down. I don't think illegally so. Bongi Manambi, it's a good tackle by Fez and Bate, and it's gone behind. Yankees has to clean up. The Sharks all over that ball, though. And it's a penalty for collapsing, so it was illegally done. And here we go. Here comes the yellow. Who's going to get it? So that's Ox. Not his fault. Just multiple penalties. And that's a big moment, actually. Sharks are down to 40 men, and we can even add it on the scoreboard. Aha. Had a little bit of a problem in the last stream when the Lions decided to get 2 bloody yellow cards, and we didn't really prepare for 2 yellow cards, so we had to try and adapt there. But yeah, there is a yellow card there to the Sharks, so Ox and Chair will serve 10 minutes in the bin for repeated infringements. And once again, the Western Province will set up a rolling maul and try. Surely, 3rd time's the charm here. Well, they won it. And having said that, Kickoff and Face gone straight through there. And Kickoff was in Noche has won it. The Western Province, I don't know what's going on. It was a brilliant read by Kickoff and Bake, who just grabbed Shikeling as soon as he came down forced turnover. Sequel was in Noche, ran through, and now Bosch has kicked it right to the other end. And Damien Willemse has kicked it ahead, but it's too far. Oh, and Penke spilt it. This is not very watchable at the moment. But the Sharks have got back to help him out, which will be the big thing. Leach saying, which team is supporting? I'm supporting the Lions, so this is a commisery drink. Not a bad campaign, pretty average to be honest. Oh my word, the West Province have turned it over. All he has to do is pass it and he can score. I mean, talk about try line fever here. And they've... Okay, it's a penalty. Go for poles. Just go for poles. You're right there. You've butchered like 10 opportunities to score a try. Go for poles. Yeah, tell them. You must go for poles. Yeah. Kicking tees out. Just give up, go for poles and restart. I mean, really. Although, ironically, you're down to 10 men. Now it's the time you probably should be going for the line out. But, yeah. Reece says 9-0 to the Sharks and there's 9 minutes left. There's no coming back from this in the first half. Well, definitely they're going to keep playing like this, to be honest. Right, no problems there from Tim Sweel. So we can add 3 points to the Western Province, who are finally on the board. Double Currie Cup on a Saturday. Doesn't get much better than this. Okay, so Khaleesi is back on the field. So Yakutia goes back to the bench. Now, last time the Kerwin tried to go short, got it wrong. So I reckon he's learned from that. He'll go deep. Good take there from Joanna Augustus. A good player that I rate him. A good kick from Tinswell. Doesn't quite find touchdown. Up really fast. Now he'll get up to speed here. A good tackle there by... Is that Salman Murat? Yeah. He always tops tackle stats, as does Murat. Oh, Karen Bosch shaping up for the drop goal. It goes well left from the... Well, the intent's there. You can see the Sharks are going to take any points they can. Shaping up for the drop there. They've taken all the kickable penalties, which for them is most of the field. But yeah. Wasn't the worst effort and worth having a go, to be fair to him. Right, so 7 minutes left. All Sharks, well, not all Sharks point scoring at the moment. Pretty much all Western Province possession-wise. That's a brilliant take from Tim Sweel. Ducks dives there. Good follow-up by Herschel Yankees. Huh? Okay, so penalty there for the Western Province. That was a great take by Tim Sweel. So the Western Province can kick to the corner and try for, I'm not even joking, the 7th, 8th time? 9th time? Haven't been particularly clinical, but hey. Tim Sweel finds touch. I don't even think that's by the 22, mate. Yeah, it's outside the 22. That's a terrible kick. And the Western Province will try and win another line-out and try and go again. Haven't been particularly good so far. Well, it's just not been clinical. They've had all the possession, all the opportunity, and just can't score a blooming point. Okay, so they're going to have a short line-out. And they're still going here. I think that's Johan de Toy. And they're up to the 6-meter mark. Now, this is where the patience is needed. And I think they've got a penalty lock-on advantage. Goodness me, the Western Province just can't score any points at the moment. They'll have a scrum here, but just looks so Yeah, iffy at the moment. Danjobeth says, hi from Panama. There we go. We are international. Let me know where you're watching from. I think we were across like 3 continents in the last stream. So yeah, let me know where you're watching from. This is my favorite part about doing these things. It's just being able to sit here and chat rugby with people from all over the world. So let me know where you're watching from. Let's see how many countries we can tick off and stuff like that. Bit of a break and play here. And it's Lakanya who's down. What is it? I think it's Fez and Bata who's currently down receiving some treatment. Xander says, my prediction is 23-15 to the Western Province. Well, unless they start learning how to score tries, I think you might be a bit disappointed at this stage. Is a scrum for Western Province? Yeah, we're going to restart with a scrum. Hey, we've got China, we've got Sao Tome, we've got Netherlands. You see, this is what I say. I mean, we're across how many different continents here? What, 4 continents, different things. I mean, how cool is that? How cool is it that we can just chat some Currie Cup rugby with people from everywhere in the world? For the Cyphers overseas, cheers to you on a nice castle light here. Reach 100 viewers. Yeah, we are up to 100, which is really cool. So smash like if you are watching and you haven't already. Right, so we've got Dylan Richardson off, actually. Looks like Timbalani Bawley's on the field. Not quite sure what's going on there. Doesn't look particularly happy, and I'm not sure if it was an injury or not. So I wasn't really paying attention much there. We've got another reset. I should restart the timer. That would always help. There we go. No, it's still cold. I've got a bit of a sort of cooler box on the side here where I can just keep it a bit. The problem is, as much as you have to drink a beer quickly, we all know that it's limited supply down here. So you got to drink. You got to be able to enjoy every sort of sip, even if it's a warm sip. A warm beer is better than no beer. So yeah, I'm gonna try and make this last. Got another one for the second half. And we've got a penalty here to the Western Province. And they can get as many penalties as they want. They're not going to, I suppose you can take the points here and try and reduce the deficit. But this is the issue. Yeah, so they'll go for the points here. And I mean, possession, territory-wise, has been all Western Province. They just can't score any points. Muhammad's definitely on the edge here. He's been quite guilty of just sort of small nitty-gritty type sort of fouls and stuff like that. I mean, he's a scrummer, so he's always going to be in the on the edge. But yeah, I think he needs to be careful. He might be entering yellow card territory. So no problem there from Tim Sweel. Let's go up to, sorry, not 7, 6, 9, which will probably be the halfway sport. You say, who do you support? I'm a Lion supporter. Yeah, that's when I have to watch these games. You know, team's out, gonna have to try and enjoy other people's happiness. John Becknar says, Western Province 37, Sharks 15. Zenko van Beek said, if Western Province can even score 1 try, the game will change. It's true, it's literally. They just need to score 1 try, and you kind of feel like the floodgates might open. But, yeah, I mean, and I would say it's been a lot of good work by the Sharks, but they haven't had to work particularly. I mean, look, they have had to work hard, but the Western Province have really been the enemy of progress here. So the Sharks only knocked it on. So the Sharks finally with some possession and inside the Western Province half, and I think it was an earlier knock on anyway. Yeah, so there was a knock on by Western Province. So it will be a Shark scrum. Oxenchair's still got a minute left in the bench, so I think they'll have to bring on a prop here. He just says, since you're a Lions supporter, do you miss a P-Way? Oh, only every single time we play. Look, morally, you can never condone what he's done, and we don't know the full thing. But just purely from a rugby point of view, I tell you, that he was so much fun to watch. He had everything. The skill, the pace, the power. It was a privilege watching him play rugby. And he's appealing. So I'm hoping he can appeal and he can prove innocence and be back in the frame, because he was such a good player to watch. And I think in many ways we've actually forgotten just how good Aphiwe Dyantyi was. I mean, you go and watch the highlights of his World Breakthrough Player of the Year season. He was unbelievable. I mean, that step, I think it was against the Jaguars. I think whoever he stepped there still doesn't know where he is. So I've got a break and play here. So let me just sort out the timer. Biggest problem with rugby is it's too much stop-start. Right, so restarting here with a Sharks scrum with less than a minute on the clock. So if the Sharks can try and win a penalty, kick a penalty here, try and score some points, and they've got a 3-point lead at the moment. Yeah, he was guilty of taking 3 different banned substances. The circumstance under which he took them hasn't really been confirmed. Unfortunately, I think it was a case of him being injured and them trying to sort of sort it out. And I don't think he knowingly did it, but I think often there are people around him who sort of try and help speed up the process. And look, either way, he took 3 banned substances. Whether he knew he was taking it or not, that's not an excuse anymore. You have to be able to prove that you took every single step to prevent doping, and that it was purely by accident. That's why I think it was Bjornsson, or was it I think it was either Bjornsson or Chili Boy who took their girlfriend's, I think, slimming tablets, something stupid. But yeah, so I don't know. We have to wait and see what happens with Aphiwe as Western Province kick deep for a penalty. Don't find touch. Up here, Fassi puts the ball out, and we'll go into half time at 6-9. So John Beckner says, okay, so what is he busy doing at the moment? He's gymming a lot. If you follow him on Instagram, that was the thing. You can't. I think they really genuinely thought they were going to win the case, because if you watched him on Instagram, there was this whole sort of like big things that are coming, and he was back into like training, not necessarily rugby training, but he was in the gym and he looked big and he looked really fit and stuff like that. And then suddenly the decision came out. So look, I think he'll just keep staying fit. He's somebody I'd love to get into the channel. I'd love to have a chat with him once this is all blown over. So we'll try and make that happen. So it'll be really interesting to see. Wayne Schmidt says, Western Province players can't perform when their union's been run into the ground by management. They are not mentally fit. It is a problem. You do see that in lots of situations where boardroom politics sometimes affects performances on the field. And it is a problem because they've got such good players that they shouldn't be this bad. And he just says, do you agree that the number 14 is more athletic than 11? They genuinely do. You look at your 14s, and I mean, look, 11s are often just sort of out and out finishes. Lots of raw pace. 14 generally is a lot more defensive duties. I mean, you look at Spear and Corsi versus Makazolo Mapimpi. Jan says Lions look like potential force in the future, man. Yo, congratulations, Jan. Hope you're enjoying your semi-final victory. For those of you who don't know, Jan's a very big bull supporter and a nice supporter of the channel. And yeah, so he will be celebrating a semi-final victory. And then Reese says his Instagram has gone banned or something like a week or two ago. I was wondering why I haven't seen much about him. Not quite sure what's going on there. And Zeke from Vegas says, now the West Province need to have a hard talk about the way they're playing at the moment. Well, to be fair, the talk will be do what you're doing and then stop knocking it on and stop stuffing up your try-scoring opportunities. Remain patient and just get over the try line. Because they've had the opportunity to score multiple occasions. I mean, they were parked out on that 5-meter line for most of the half. They just didn't have the composure to get over the line. It's actually criminal that they haven't scored yet. Okay, so Wayne Schmidt says, hope Western Province win. Prediction, Western Province by 9. Yeah, well, let's try and get it. So we've got 6-9, a close game on here. Let's try and find out. Let's find out what your full-time score predictions are. Drop them in the comments. I'd love to start running a bit more of a prediction game, you know, where we can get all our predictions in the beginning of the stream and then try and give something away at full time. So if anybody wants to donate a prize or something like that, give me a shout and we can try and get a bit of a prediction game going. Sigurd says, here's a nice fact. My uncle cousin is flipping him over. He played for the Bulls and the Springboks. Oh yeah, we all knew. Big flip. Listen, it was difficult to forget that. I mean, cheapers. I mean, him and Paul Willemse are some of the biggest locks I've ever seen. Yeah, so we got one full-time prediction, 18-12 to the Western Province. I'm still sticking my Sharks by 5. I think, to be fair, right now it looks like a pretty decent shot. Doesn't look like it's going to be particularly high scoring unless the Western Province can just remember how to score. Right, so Cornel says Sharks will win 26-21. Darren Bester, hello Darren, welcome back. Says 23-18 shot. You hope so. Well, all the best there. Must be nice to still be in the Currie Cup. I wouldn't know. It must be nice. So, look, I mean, I'm not upset with the Lions, to be honest. I think we've got a lot of very talented players coming through, and I think we've got some exciting times to come. I think it's exciting times to come for all the unions. The Rainbow Cup, I think, is going to be awesome. I mean, we're going to be able to play against Ulster and Munster and Edinburgh and Scarlets and, you know, some of the best sides in Europe. And if we can then try and get into that whole European Champions Cup, what pleasure. Imagine playing in the Heineken Cup. I mean, come now. I would be epic. Imagine Bulls versus, I don't know, Bulls versus Harlequins at Loftus. I mean, the rugby fans' dream. Andrew says if Western Province don't start using the opportunities, they don't stand a chance. I mean, if they just scored half of the opportunities, they could have put this game to bed. 21-6 to the Sharks because of the way their Western Province are playing now. Yeah, I can't score at the moment. And Alex says Sharks 18 to Western Province 12. So, all going pretty low score lines. And at the moment, to be fair, it doesn't look like too many shark scoring opportunities at the moment. Sharks haven't really had any time in the Western Province half, and the Western Province just don't feel like scoring. He says, do you maybe know if Warwick Calunt will play in the finals? No, he's out for a long time. He did, I'm pretty sure it was ACL. So he's out. I mean, they pretty much looked like he was going to be out of the Lions tour. So it looks like he's going to be out for many more months, which is a big shame because I'm such a big Calunt fan and it was good to see him playing some fantastic rugby. Yeah, he's getting back to his best. I think he is the perfect Billy replacement in theory. So let's hope he can come back strong though. Same with Gianni Lombard. I mean, we had and Gio Aplon. I don't know what it was about being a fullback because you don't want to be a fullback playing this competition. There was 3 pretty much season-ending injuries for 3 different fullbacks. So not a good time. But yeah, smash like on the video during half time. Let's see if we can try and get up to let's try and be ambitious. Let's say 40 likes by the end of the game. So I mean we've got almost 100 people watching. So if half of you go and like the video right now, then we'll get up to that. We want to try and push the number of viewers in the second half. Really cool. Really enjoy chatting with you. So please also, yeah, jump in the comments. Let me know what your opinions are. At the end of the day, we're all just rugby fans having a good chat. So let me know what you think of the game or anything like that. Right, Maurice says, I'm a diehard Province fan and I want them to win the cup, but I would rather want Sharks to win because I can't see us beating the Bulls at Loftus. I don't want Bulls to win if you feel the Sharks can beat them. You can beat them too. The Western Province can definitely beat the Bulls if they ever play to their potential. I think that's the most frustrating thing, is the Western Province just struggle to reach their potential. Darren says, Fussy is the Villiers replacement playmaker. Yeah, look, I mean, if you can find the form that he was playing in Super Rugby beginning of last year, then yeah. But I mean, imagine having that. You've got Fussy versus Warwick Kalan for that fullback jersey. The amount of talent in South Africa Rugby is so good. And he said, the Sharks just the discipline, they'll definitely win. True that. Who's the fastest rugby player for you in South Africa? Oh, that's difficult. Fussy must be up there. Cornels Kasan's very quick. I'd love to see a foot race. Can you imagine a foot race? I'd probably say Fussy at the moment. I mean, we've seen some of his clips and stuff like that. He is lightning. Look at Marcus Zulema Pimpy. He's not exactly slow. I don't know. It's interesting, actually. That's a good question for the chat. Who do you think is the fastest player in the country right now? Right, I'm going to open my second beer, my rations for the day. 2 for today. Might be able to try squeeze 3 for next weekend for the final. And I just said, even saying that, I still hope Western Province can do it. Not a very positive of that. Western Province are the best side, really. They've had more possession. They've got more opportunity. They just can't take it. That's the Western Province should beat everyone on paper. They should. They really. I mean, especially when you've got somebody like. I mean, look at the side now, and then you add Stephen Kitsoff and you add P. Steph Toy, and you go and add Sibelis Anatla, for example, and Warwick Kalant. It's the amount of talent. I mean, as much as I don't really like Willemse at 10, you know, the players they have, it's ludicrous, and they just don't play at the standard. And for whatever reason, whether it's down to, also let's get rid of this yellow card, whether it's down to John Dobson or coaching staff, or whether it's down to the board in politics, whatever reason it is, the Western Province should be the rugby. I mean, especially when you look, I mean, there's no reason why the Western Province shouldn't be the best side. You've got some of the best. I mean, you've got 2 Varsity Cup universities. I mean, 3 Varsity Cup universities, which feed straight in there. You've got some of the best rugby schools in the country. Everything is set up for the Western Province to succeed, and they're just underperforming at the moment. And they've been very open about it. Sia Khaleesi was saying, he said that they just keep underperforming. They keep buckling. So, yeah, paper can't play rugby. It's true. I mean, it's all very well having the best. I mean, look, the Springboks went into the World Cup. We definitely didn't have the best squad on paper. But hey, they have many others of being world champions. I believe fast because you caught Pio Gianti as one of the fastest, and I believe fast is getting quicker too. Yeah, as I said, I think fast is a very good shot for one of the fastest players. I'd love to have a bit of a sprint off. That'd be great. I think it's the culture of Western Province. All coaches' reputations go there to die. I thought when the Western Province had gotten Eddie, that was going to be it. I thought, here we go. The sleeping giant of rugby, which, I mean, he's been several sleeping giants of rugby. But that was going to be it. But, I mean, you do look at the coaching staff at the moment. You got Jake White, proven international credentials. Nobody's going to argue with his credentials. Then you got Ivan van Rooyen, and yeah, I mean, Lions playing well. Sean Everett and John Dobson. So, I mean, we've got to get some of our best coaches back. I'd love to see Jan Ackerman back in the country. And people like Johan van Graan, you know, get the best rugby players and best coaches and everything. Get them back to the country. Let's throw some money. Right, we are about to kick off. We have kicked off. And I need to change that. Okay, so the Stormers, Western Province, are now playing left to right. And Jaden Hendricks was on Sunil Nahamba. That's a big call, actually. And I think that's the right call. Nahamba was tittering on the edge of getting a yellow card. And I think Jaden Hendricks is a very capable scrum off. And it's an early penalty to the Western Province. I think it's for offside on JJ van der Mesh. So the Western Province can kick for goal here and level things up in just the first few seconds. And why is my scoreboard not working? Yep. And that is the case. They will go for polls and try and level it up. So Maurice says, Sad thing is today, a Province boy scored 2 tries against the Lions. Junior Jacobs, why can't West Province keep the best young talent? To be fair, I mean, players move and go a lot. I mean, you're going to look at somebody like Pete Steph Toy, and how much the Sharks invested in eyes at the Western Province. I mean, the Western Province still have ridiculous players. I mean, the Lions also have always struggled to keep their play. I mean, look at all the players who've gone overseas. At the end of the day, we need money. Ackerman worked wonders for the Lions, took what De Bruyne did and make it even better. Yeah, I mean, Jan Ackerman and Swace at the Lions were the dream team. The dream team as Tim Sweel adds the extras. Interesting to see what Swace De Bruyne does. You can see, just two-toning on himself and taking a bit of a break. But, I mean, somebody like Cole Blooming Maddox. I mean, why don't we get him back into the setup? Okay, so Nasenda Humber has a boot off. Looks like it could be an injury. Even though it was tactical, I think it was probably the right call. But yeah, so early points for the Western Province. They leveled up the scores at 9-9. So a good start for them. That's a great take there, but I think it's JD Schickerling who went up. Good restart there from the Sharks, but well taken from the Western Province. Cheetahs would walk everything if players play State of Origin. Oh, 100%. I mean, Grey Bloom is basically the Springbok Academy. It is the Springbok Academy. Look at PE. I mean, look at the Eastern Cape. If players stayed where they came from, the Eastern Cape would be incredible. Kerwin Bosch, for example, Eastern Cape boy. I mean, the Eastern Cape rugby. I was there for 6 years down at varsity, and the schoolboy rugby in the Eastern Cape is incredible, and the passion they have for the sport. It's so sad that there's no Eastern Cape side. It's just a joke, to be honest. Right, so we've got a knock on here from, I think it's from Angela Davids. Good contest between him and Apele Fassi. I think it came off Davids first. So a nice early set piece just to slow the game down as soon as we kick off. Now my header. I just can't stand all these stoppages. Right, so Ox is back. He had a 10-minute reprieve with a yellow card. Let's see if he can come back with a bit of a vengeance up against France Malherbe. Solid scrum there, and the Sharks look to try and get the backline involved. Kanya puts it through. Oh, it's a horrible bounce. Damien Willemse has knocked it forward. It was an awkward, terrible, horrible bounce. Bounced straight up to him as he was going down to get it. So, and it's a penalty to the Sharks. Who do you think is our best fly off at the moment? I'm going to go with Bosch. It's such a tricky conversation because it depends on what you want them to do. I think Bosch, kicking-wise, is second to none. I do sometimes worry about his game management, and his defense will always cause... Look, to be fair, you look at all the flower halves, and defense will always be the question. So at the moment, it's a race between Alton Yankees, Curwin Bosch, and Morné Steyn. I'm not really putting Tim Sweel in there. Experience-wise, Alton Yankees is the most experienced and been there, done that type of thing. Curwin Bosch is probably the form flower half. I wouldn't like to see Morné Steyn back in the Springboks. I just think it's a bit of negative. I have no issue with him as a player. I just think that we've got to start looking a bit more long-term. Yeah, Denver Ox coming on nicely this season. I'm so jealous that you guys got Oxen Chair. As a Lions fan, I sat there going, how can we not go for Oxen Chair? Oxen Chair and Joseph Dweber, two Cheetahs players I thought we had to go and get. Now that is someone the Sharks should go and sign. Bring back Joseph Dweber at hooker and your front row will be sorted. That's exactly the type of signing that the Sharks should make. Right, another set piece. Oh, that is the maestro. He is, but he is currently injured. So if the if the Lions tour was to happen tomorrow, I suppose the question is who would be the fly half. Oh, Jaden Hendricks has made a bit of a dart down the right-hand side. He kicks ahead. Has he been taken out there? Yeah, he thinks so. Looked like it. Reese says, best lineup in the Currie Cup, kicking Kernbosch, attack and pace, Damien Willemse, game sense and calls, Mornay Stain. Point us to when we can get a beer. This is the stock, the last of the stock. I'm busy rationing, Sean. You know, we've had to make a very conscious decision to try and reduce the intake. I was so poor. My girlfriend was in Zim and she messaged me saying, I'm hearing something about liquor being banned. And I said, no, it'll be fine. They won't do it. Well, now I look stupid. Now I'm having to sit here limiting myself to 2 beers a match. So got my 2 beers for today. And next weekend I'll try and keep myself to maybe 3 beers. We'll go a bit wild. Hopefully by the time the Rainbow Cup kicks off, we'll have multiple beers. I'd love to get to a stage where we can do this at a pub. We can do a live watch along at a pub, get people to come and visit, and we can all buy drinks and be merry. Hashtag after COVID things. As the Sharks get up to the 5 meter, was a penalty after Jaden Hendricks got taken off. And Kernbosch is in the pocket. And no issues there. He was straight in front. And that's a good move there from the Sharks. You go up to 12-9. Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. Wait until you're in front, get into the pocket, nice little sort of chip over the top, had plenty of time. Kernbosch putting a bit of a kicking masterclass. Everything else has been a bit under par so far, but kicking well at the moment. And the restart is fielded. Oh, Apelepas got a bit of space here. And then Richardson back on the park. He was off for Oxen Chair. That was the story. Okay, I'm with you. I was wondering why he was off earlier. I didn't notice who they took off for the prop. Anyway, Western Province have been driven back to their own half. This game could go either way. I'm actually trying to sit there deciding who's been the better side. I mean, Sharks been more clinical and taking their opportunities, but Western Province have definitely had the bulk of the attack and the possession, so very much in the balance. I think my by 5 prediction is probably quite a safe one. Ooh, Oxen Chair looks like he's turned that over. That's a great piece of work there. Right, so the Sharks were... Oh, the thing, Jaden Hendricks, are you not part of the plan, mate? What part are you taking all your points possible? Jaden Hendricks trying to take a quick penalty there. They're on the halfway line. I'm not sure that was probably part of the plan, seeing as this is well in Kernbosch's range. Dan said, I said 23-18, they need to try because 23 is not divisible by 3. Yeah, well, I said by 5. And if they keep adding penalties, they're not going to get by 5 either. So, yeah, I could also use a penalty to try and make that a bit of a possibility. Good game, though. Proper playoff game, you know, where we've seen a bit of running, we've seen a bit of cat and mouse. Kernbosch is going to line up another penalty here to try and put it a 6-point advantage for the Sharks inside the first 10 minutes of the second half. After 110 people watching, thank you very much for everyone who's tuned in. Smash a like on the video. We're going to try and get to 40 likes. So, as I said, if half the people go and smash like there, then we've got to our like goal. In terms of viewership, yeah, just thank you everybody for supporting. It's really, really cool to be able to do this and have these chats with everyone. Quite skeptical of doing it initially, but yeah, I've had so many cool chats and really cool to connect with rugby fans from all over the world. Thank you very much for watching as Kernbosch lines up his 4th penalty of the day inside his own half. So this should be child's play for him, really. That looked like it went off to the right. Yeah, he actually missed that. That's interesting. That's a big moment. Surprised there. Just, yeah, I mean, when he hit it, I mean, you could hear the thud, but it looked like the direction was always going to be a bit of an issue, and that's gone towards the right. So a big let-off there for Western Province. And we've seen Dan Hughes to come on for Fezambate, and that looks like an Ernst van Rijn is on for Johan de Toy. So a couple of subs coming on here. Re-saying Sharks pressuring the Western Province so much the Stormers are suffering from it. Yeah. I mean, the Sharks have been when the West Province have been on attack, the Sharks' defense has been quite active. But needs to just try and get some more possession, the Sharks. And Hendricks has broken the line again. Is an advantage there for a penalty. I really like Jaden Hendricks. I think he could very well displace Sanel Nahamba. And I think Nahamba's a really good player. But I think Jaden Hendricks has got everything. He's got a very nice, he's quite a nice, he snipes very well. He's got a good delivery, reads the game quite well. Thank you for sharing the game with us. Oh, no, thank you for joining. Darren Best says, at sea level 2, we have some great kickers and set. We really do. And it's really cool to see. I mean, Tian Swanepoel, Cohen Bosch, Grant Stain. Funny how you go through phases. I mean, we went through phase. I mean, old James Valencia at Lions, the youngsters, also got a huge boot. Right, so the Sharks, the penalty, they've gone up to the inside 22. So they'll have a line out here. Still no tries in the match itself. Very much been a game of penalties and a drop goal so far. So Currie Bosch probably leading the man of the match nomination so far. They win, but they give it out. Oh, and that's a... Ooh! Yeah, it's been knocked forward like plenty of times here. So, right, so we're going to have a scrum for the Western Province. Wasn't the best. Well, the lineup was fine, and then I think it was Yapenke coming with pace. He knocked it on, and then the Western Province tried to counter-attack, and there was another knock on there. Who was the Pumas fly half? Well, lately it's been Devin Williams who's been playing. And I've completely lost the name of the guy who's replaced now. Very poor. But yeah, Devin Williams made the shift and was playing there by the end. And to be fair to Devin Williams, I was quite critical of him early on when he first made the switch. But that last game against the Bulls, he played very, very well. Another reset scrum here, just to I'm trying to think of the Pumas fullback for you. I mean, there's Theo Boshoff. There's Neil Maria. I think Neil Maria's there now, the ex-cheaters, I think. And there's Tian Bortas, but yeah, Devin Williams was being favoured there ahead of him. Couple of resets here. You've got the Sharks who have a scrum on. Sorry, the West Palms have got a defence scrum just above their 22. Right, so come, let's actually get the scrum going. I'm so bored of resets, and we're gonna have another reset. Oh, come, Marius, just blow a penalty or something. I'm so bored of losing. How much of a game do we have to lose to resets every single week? Very frustrating. I want to see some rugby. I mean, we must have lost. I think we've lost about almost 5 minutes on this scrum alone of playing time that we've lost. I mean, I enjoy scrums, I enjoy the contest, and I enjoy the whole set piece side. But it just gets to a point where you just think, come now, people. Not sure what I'm going to do with myself next weekend. Currie Cup final, and after that, I think we're going to have to do some Six Nations coverage. Try and get our rugby fix somewhere. Penalty for the Western Province. So a bit of a jail free there. They can kick down to the Sharks half. But yeah, let me know what you think. Should we do some Six Nations? Maybe do a bit of scout reporting ahead of the Six and the Lions tour. We have to wait and see what happens to the Lions tour. I've got tickets to all the tests, so I was really hoping they're going to try and postpone it. Neil Maria used to be the Pumas fly half. Yeah, I think he got injured. I'm pretty sure he is still there. There is Theo Boshoff as well, and Tian Bortas. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Should we do some Six Nations? Should we do some European Champions Cup? Premiership? Any other rugby? Anything in demand? We've got some cricket coming up. That's going to be quite cool. South African test starting on Tuesday. We're going to be doing live watch-alongs for the T20 series. Yeah, it's really a lot of fun as well. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so that you're with us for all the different live watch-alongs as the Western Province throw that in skew and give the Sharks a scrum. So between 50 and 55, I don't think we've had a single moment of actual rugby. It's just resets. Think of, and it says, I would like to see some running rugby from both sides. I'd just like to see some rugby. And Darren says, they must stop tinkering with the rules, watch a game from 90 and see how good scrum were. They tinker and we suffer the unintended consequences. Yeah, I mean, I can understand. The problem is that they're trying to make it safer, which obviously you can't really deny and sit there and say, no, don't do it. But you kind of just get to a state where you just... I mean, I love scrums, but if it's going to be this technical, when people sit there saying, well, maybe we shouldn't have them, you can't understand the argument. He says, yeah, it is still going. We are 55 minutes in. On top 14, yeah, it's a good shot. I mean, start doing a bit of research on the Rainbow Cup. So maybe try and do some top 14. Maybe do some European Champions Cup, especially with the top 14 sides. Maybe that'll be quite a nice watch. You can watch some Harlequins, and hopefully eventually we can watch some Saracens rugby and stuff like that. It's a very good point. Sean says, might as well do a sale games basically South African. Right now on the side, looks like he's going to come off. Yeah, we'll definitely do some rugby. If we don't do some, we'll do some Six Nations, or we'll do some top 14. Try and build a bit of momentum towards Rainbow Cup, which is going to be... I'm so excited. I think that that the Rainbow Cup is going to be life-changing for so many different reasons. Now I've got a free kick for being past the mark. This has been dreadful in the last few minutes. I mean, goodness me. Right, so Ronald's on for Dan du Plessis. Had a bit of a quiet game. Wasn't bad, wasn't great. And Timolani Borley is on. Nice player, Borley. Good to add the depth. I think he might struggle for game time if they keep bringing in blooming loose forwards. Yeah, I mean, Sale Sharks, they've got Faf du Plessis, Currie Station, they've got all the Dupreers, Ryan Jansen from Rensburg. They've got blooming everyone over there. Old Akka. That's a great run by Hershey Yankees. Pass wasn't the best, but now Vince's going to have to try and clean up. You're going to have to go forward, mate. What do you think about the Sharks being acquired by the Americans? Look, if they do what they promised to do and they're bringing in a lot of cash, there's no reason why the Sharks shouldn't become one of the biggest sides in the world. I mean, they want to. I'm sorry, that partnership with Rock Nation. I'm so jealous. I think you're going to see such cool things from the Sharks. Rock Nation knows how to build a brand, so that can only be a good thing for the Sharks. And I think that South African teams have been a bit guilty of just being a little bit behind sometimes. You know, sometimes with a bit of the media coverage, the social media work and stuff like that, there is room for improvement. And I think we're starting to see a big step up. But I mean, imagine you can start seeing things like Chasing the Sun for like the Sharks. You know, all those like all or nothing series. You know, that's the kind of thing that Rock Nation brings. You know, that kind of coverage and stuff. Meanwhile, the Western Province, I've gone to the Sharks 22, that's very well cleaned up by Sikamboze Noche. Game opening up at the moment, very end to end. Michael says, yes, do Six Nations in the Premiership. Yeah, I think so. I think so. We've got Currie Cup final next weekend, and then after that, I'm pretty sure the Six Nations is the weekend after. It's the first weekend of February. So, yeah, we should be hopefully doing some live watch-alongs non-stop. So we'll move on to the Six Nations. Try and do a bit of a scout report for the Lions Tour and for top 14 and stuff like that. So don't stress. We'll get our rugby fixed somehow. It's going to be weird having no South African rugby in February. Like, that's usually when like the season's starting, and that's the end of the season. These COVID times. So, Fussy has turned the Western Province, but that kick looks like it's gone too far. No, it's actually going to set up. Tim Swirl cleans up. We're in a bit of a cat and mouse situation at the moment. Right, so the Sharks finally sort of stopped a bit of a kick battle, and the Sharks got up to about 22. 20 minutes left here. Sharks just 3 points advantage, so game very much in the balance. No try scored just yet. So I mean, you kind of get the feeling that the team to score a try could be the team that actually wins it. Good defense here by the West Province. Sharks are not going anywhere. Very lateral at the moment. Not too much happening. Once again, pick up and carry, but no meters gained. Thomas the Tank goes, but again, no meters made. So Sharks need something a bit special here. They need someone to take them over the advantage line. Ready for the match, picks up and goes. He makes a meter or two, but not making much space here. So it's good defense here by the Western Province. Reaches the only teams that don't have South African in the Premiership is London Irish and the Bristol Bears. Look, I mean, what did Rusty say? Something like over 800. That is a terrible kick by Curran Bosch. Goodness me. Yeah, I mean, Rusty was saying it's like 800 professional players from South Africa all over the world. So we're actually thinking of doing a video where we can try and, like, if we were to have 10 teams in South Africa, bring all the South Africans back, what sort of teams could we bring? Dan Best says the game is coming hard to watch. Jack, you know why I can't live stream. Shane Tilbury, Common Sharks, can't find the live stream. Glad I found you. Sure, you live with Jack. I did. Must admit, can't remember watching too much rugby. It was all pretty much football when we lived together. Yeah, so for a Sharks fan, I think it was pretty poor effort when we lived together. It has a missing presence in the midfield. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. That I think an inside centre will be the biggest thing to add for the Sharks. I mean, if you look at the side, Marius Lowe, he's been good, but I think that's if you can try and add a world-class inside centre, then the Sharks backline just takes on a whole new meaning. Right, so scrum time here, and I suppose I actually adjust the clock. We're a bit behind you because a couple of stoppages. As Darren was saying, it's become quite messy in the last couple of minutes, so let's hope that they can clean that up a bit. But we've got a scrum here in the Stormers, or the Western Province half. Western Province feed. Looks like a decent hit by them, actually. Yeah, they got a bit of momentum here. There's the arm. Oh, that's a great play of so Sergio Peterson's going to have a bit of a run here. He kicks inside. Going to go back for the penalty here. So the Western Province trying to get into the Sharks half. And just need to try and get into some positions to try and find some kickable goals at the moment because no team looks like scoring. Yeah, can you maybe tell us what will happen after the Rainbow Cup? Will we be part of the Six Nations? Where will the Box play? So at this stage, it's still going to be the Rugby Championship. That's not going to change at the moment. So despite the fact that club-wise we're playing in Europe, for the time being, we will still be in the Rugby Championship. There's no talks yet really of joining the Six Nations. So the next sort of step will be whether clubs can go and play in the European Cup and play in sort of the Heineken Cup. That'll be the next sort of step, I suppose. Right, so once again, Western Province getting all the way down to the Lions half. I mean, the Lions half, the Sharks half, and stuffing it up. So they've conceded the penalty. So the Sharks got a penalty inside the 22, and they'll be able to kick to safety. I don't think this is going to be a particularly high-scoring game. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if this is actually the score for the rest of the match, because the Western Province just don't know what to do when they get into the Sharks half, and the Sharks are just kind of just riding off that, to be honest. Yeah, I had an opportunity to maybe transfer them all and try and change direction. Didn't take it, and as a result, they've conceded a penalty, and the Sharks are up to the halfway line. Well, it's a good kick, but it's a good take there from David Willemse. Right, so once again, the Western Province will work their way back via the Booterton wheel. Sean B says, Jesus disjointed. I mean, really, the last 20 minutes it's just all got haywire. No structure. It's kicking. It's messy. It's knock-ons. It's not been a great watch, I must admit. This time during the Lions Bulls game was a really good watch. You know, we're seeing some end-to-end stuff. We were seeing some really good line break stuff like that. This game, the last 50 minutes has been appalling. People margin, dangerous to try close the game up by the Sharks. They must press. I think the Sharks, yeah, probably need. I mean, I think one more penalty would probably do it. I don't see the Western Province scoring at the moment. They just can't seem. They just don't seem to know what to do when they're in that Sharks half. Look, it can all change very quickly. There's an advantage here for the Sharks, so that'll give them an opportunity to get out of their own half. And there it is, penalty after penalty after penalty. In fact, I'm actually going to try and find the stats for this game because I reckon the penalty count is appalling. Yeah, saying I've only watched bits of the game. How is Fussy performing? He's been all right. Hasn't had much chance to do much, to be honest. The Sharks backline, we haven't seen Yapenke, we haven't seen Spoon Corsi at all, and we haven't really seen Fussy much. He hasn't done much wrong. But he hasn't really had the chance to express themselves. And I think that's the problem with the Sharks, and that's the reason why they haven't really managed to score tries, that they haven't managed to get their backline into the game. Yeah, unfortunately, if I show the game, the entire channel gets closed down for copyright. And I'd rather that not happen, so can't show the game, but hopefully this is the next best thing. Right, so the Sharks up into the Western Province half. They got a penalty advantage from a maul, which is broken away. Now Oxen Chair's on a bit of a run. Oh, Tembalani Boy's knocked it on. I mean, goodness me. Okay, so according to Rugby Pass, let's look at some of the stats. We're going to look at discipline here. Yeah, 30 penalties conceded by the Sharks, 9 to Western Province. So that's what, over 20 penalties in the game, which hasn't been great. The Sharks got another penalty here, and I'm sure we'll kick to the corner and try and find a. We'll try. I think if they score, I think that could be the end of the game. To be honest, I think that the Western Province just don't look like scoring at the moment. So to try and score two tries will be tough. Yeah, it's a penalty for a late sack there. Right, so the Sharks get up to just by the 5-meter line. So first things first, Dan Houston needs to find his jumper, and he does. Ruben van Heerden takes that well. And the Western Province are coming there quite quickly, but illegally so apparently. As we kick through there, I did have an advantage. And yeah, I think we're about to see a play in the bin for the Western Province. Oxen Chair. And handling's been a major issue. Is it very humid? I mean, it doesn't seem to be. The handling hasn't been great. Although, to be fair, it's not like it's been sort of just... Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's too humid. I mean, to be fair, it's Cape Town, so I wouldn't know. So But there have been quite a lot of handling errors, which is why it's been such a stop-start game, because we've had so many scrums. In fact, I'd love to see how many scrums we've actually had. I mean, 12, 13, I mean, we've basically had 14, 15 scrums. So, yeah, I mean, the handling's not been great. We go and look at the handling errors, which are... Doesn't actually have the handling errors, so that doesn't help much. Yeah, it hasn't been great handling. It's just been a bit disjointed in the last sort of 20 minutes. The first half wasn't back. Jan says the Sharks' backline was the key to their dominance early last season, so at this point they aren't performing. Yeah, it's weird. They just can't seem to get into the game. I mean, you've got somebody like Spoon Corsi, who, I mean, he's a phenomenal wing. And I don't think we've seen him this game. Same as Upper Fast, you've got all that pace, all that talent, and they just can't get them into the game. Devin, what was the score between the Bulls and Lions? 26-21 to the Bulls. The Lions are out. Who scored the tries? I wish there were tries to speak of, my man. There have been no tries. The Western Province could have scored about 10 tries at this rate. But the Sharks once again will try and go for the rolling more here. Oh, they've gone over, and Timberlani Boy has gone over. There we do. There we go. We've got a first try of the game. Timberlani Boy is the man. Finally breaks the deadlock. That could be it, to be honest. They've been camping out there for a while, and that's the difference. The Sharks have not had as many opportunities as the Western Province, but they've taken the points where they can, and Timberlani Boy goes over. So you see, the maul wasn't working, so as soon as they got down, he went and splintered to the right, quite close to the touchline, but between him and JJ van der Mesh, it was against Currie and Tabeni, and they were just too powerful, and they got over. Oh no, now we're going to have a top. Now we're going to have a check. It might not be... Well, let me just reduce it to 12. We'll add it back if it's been ruled out. Right, so we're going to go back and check. There's a TMO referral. So I think they're looking for obstruction because JJ van der Mesh should have splintered with Timberlani Boy and kind of carried him with him. So I think they're looking to see if it was obstruction. I don't think it is. It will be a very harsh call if they were to rule that as no try. Well, I'm out of beers, so we're back to the good old H2O. Okay, so to be fair, it's a very good, it's a script. So basically what they're saying is that JJ van der Mesh peeled to the side legally, and he had Timberlani with him, but JJ van der Mesh made first contact with Scurry Intabeni, who was making the tackle, and therefore impeded him from making the tackle. So, so there's no try. So the try has actually been disallowed. So after we finally thought we had a try, we don't actually have a try. I think it's actually obstruction, which means it'll be a penalty to the Western Province. So that is a huge call in the thing of things. And yeah, it's difficult. I mean, look, I'm not a referee, but it's minimal. Hey, it's very minimal. I mean, I think there is first contact is with JJ van der Mesh, which is the argument. Whether that was enough to really offset Scurry and Tabeni is the question. So it's a big call. It's a big call. I mean, it was very well articulated by the TMO. Right, let's go to the comments. So Godfrey says, what are the captain's responsibility in this poor scenario, Western Province? Dan says, Khaleesi is a good buy for the Sharks. James, I've got a surname and it said it's preparing the Money Man show. Yeah, look, I mean, he's a Rock Nation. He's part of Rock Nation and all the stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense. Similar sort of age and similar sort of agency. So yeah, I think it's a good signing. I think that he's very marketable. I think he's a very good player. So it's kind of a win-win. Right, so that's a huge let-off for the Western Province. So we've actually got a yellow card here from the West Province, so I've got to put away, but I'm going to have to change it because that is for the Western Province. We've got a yellow card there. Right, there we go. Right, so big let-off for the Western Province. Can they make a count? Will that decision come back to haunt the Sharks? This is the question as we move into the last 10 minutes. Bosch puts it up in the air. Sharks, it's all a territory game for them. They just want to keep the game in the Western Province half. Good chase by the Sharks, by the Western Province, and managed to hold on, or have the Sharks turned it over. They've got an advantage, and they've won a penalty. Big moment, big moment. What do they do here? What do they do now? So, big call to make here. The Sharks have a penalty. Surely they go for poles. The Western Province haven't looked like scoring all game. Surely the Sharks go for poles. They do have a player advantage. But it is player of rugby. Do you risk it? I don't think they should. If I were them, I'd take the points. The Western Province haven't looked like scoring all game. So take the points and... But is he better than the blonde oak that pistol Dylan Richardson? Yeah, he is good. That's what I was saying earlier. We're talking about the fact that it comes down to how much depth do the Sharks have, and Dylan Richardson's a fantastic player. But yeah, look, I mean, is there such a thing as too many good players? Richardson is very young, so yeah, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, you want the best team possible. If you've got Dylan Richardson pushing off the bench, Siaklis wouldn't have. You'd have to be playing your best rugby week in, week out. This doesn't look great though. Tim Swirl is down. The stretcher is on. I should probably turn the clock off. So big call for the Sharks. For me, they must go for poles. I don't see why they wouldn't. Having a look at this penalty. So, yeah, look, to be fair, I can actually understand the reason the try wasn't given because Scurry Ntibeni had his arm pretty much going in, and because of the way that JJ van der Mesht impacted, Scurry Ntibeni actually couldn't get around or couldn't lodge himself into Timberlani Bawley and actually make the tackle. So that's the argument there. Telling says Province are not making the right decision, so it's safe to say the Sharks can win. The Bulls are Sharks, and according to the momentum of the Bulls can take it. Yeah, the Bulls are definitely the favourites. And it's fair enough. Maybe the competition the mention of Khaleesi has to offer would be good. Yeah, look, I mean, I think you're looking at Dylan Richardson and the way he's playing. I think he does have a Springbok career, and I mean, I think Siya Khaleesi plays a big role with some of the youngsters and stuff like that. We've heard a lot of talk about how important he is as a character. So, if you've got the likes, look, you could also play. I mean, you could try and play both of them. They are quite different players. So you could play Siya Khaleesi at 7, Dylan Richardson at 6 as a fetcher, and then you've got Segan Wazanoche at 8. So yeah, I mean, I think that look, there's so much depth. I mean, there's also James Fenter and Timberlani Bawley. So the Sharks got so many loose forwards that player-wise, I don't think Khaleesi is probably the most important player to get right now, but he's also a marketing dream. And if they want to go for this big marketing sort of push with Rock Nation stuff like that, then you'll want things like that. Sorry, there is a bit of a break in the game. We've got the stretcher on, so it'll take a bit of a while. I hope MVM Holdings Rubber Sharks victory in the Western Province face. Look, they stuffed up big time. Did the Western Province. The fact that they could have had this sort of money injection, a union which has been so dying for some investment, some decent running, and they just stuffed it up really. Richardson may end up a hooker. He was a hooker before. Yeah, look, I mean, I think I'm favorite flank, to be honest. I mean, I like him at hooker. I think he sometimes struggles a little bit with some of the hooking duties, which is why he's played a flank. But yeah, you could bring Khaleesi in, move Richardson to hooker. I think you either need to make a decision on the hooker for Richardson, what he's going to be, and if he's not going to be a hooker, I do think the Sharks could probably use a hooker, whether it's trying to bring Akafanamerva back or as I said, Joseph Dueba for me would be an obvious candidate for any team to come try and bring back to the country. Right, so it's Jack Coetzee, it's off. Joanne Augustus returns to the side. The Sharks are going for the corner, I think. Yeah, so I suppose it is quite close to the touchline, so they will go for the corner. They're not going to go for the points, which is a big call. But I suppose try and wind the clock down and get themselves to the end. I was really hoping Khaleesi was going to have a big game. We haven't seen much of the entire Western Province Blues cheer, to be honest. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed. I think he's struggling at the moment. He hasn't quite the same since his injury. And unfortunately, when you see a Khaleesi, you get judged a lot harshly than anybody else because you're in the spotlight and stuff like that. And Springbok captain, Jaco Coetzee was on the stretcher that went off. I thought it was still Swill initially, but I think it was Jaco Coetzee, which is why João Augusto is back on the field. Meanwhile, the Sharks are right on the line here. If they score, I think this is it. They went to the corner, so they reckon they can try and get a try. Temalani Borley has another go. He was denied a try earlier. Jaden Hendricks had a snipe. But the Western Province defense is holding up strong. Still, Temalani Borley, has he got it over? Not quite. I tell you, this Western Province is not giving an inch here. They can't afford to. They score here, and that could be the game done. And that's it. There it is. There's the try. They finally score. They finally get over. We do have a first try of the match. And it is JJ van der Mesh who comes up with the ball. That could be the ball game. Sharks 17, Western Province 9. This isn't a particularly difficult kick. So Curran Bosch should add the extras. And that could be it. And this is why I said the Sharks, I backed the Sharks. Because I think for as much as the Western Province have got the best players, they just can't seem to gel at the moment. And tryline fever has been the story of the day. I mean, they've been camped out several times by the tryline and just couldn't score any points. But we finally do have a try in the 72nd minute. About blooming time, really. And there shouldn't be any issues with Curran Bosch, so he should act the extras. And I think that given how much the Western Province has struggled so far, this could very well be the final score, or at least the final nail in the coffin for the Western Province. We could see a Sharks-Bulls final. Are you going to apply to Rock Nation to be a columnist or analyst? Hey, do they have them? I'd love to work for Rock. I think Rock Nation is just a very cool brand, to be honest. No, not quite. I haven't got. Can't say I've got those sort of ambitions just yet. If that's what opportunity presents itself, I'm all for it. I just think Rock Nation is a cool brand, and they do some very cool things. And so, how long do you think Khaleesi will be a starter/main captain, considering he's turning 30 and Marco Verstappen is playing better rugby at 25? I really hope he could shine today, to be honest. I mean, it's difficult because, well, first of all, it's been so stop-start and stuff like that. Marco Verstappen is becoming very difficult to ignore. And you're not, and P. Steph Toy's move to flank has kind of sort of cemented that Khaleesi is going to have to try and make it at 6. So you've got Dwayne Vermeulen at 8, and I think probably after that, Joanna Augustus, she's going to sort of take his place. So it's a couple of trying years. Look, something I will say about Khaleesi is that he's often someone, whenever you sort of really doubt him, he often pulls out a very big performance. So hopefully he can do that in the Rainbow Cup. Mick, the final is next week, Saturday. They haven't confirmed the time just yet. I'd imagine they'll go for the 4 o'clock kickoff, or the 4 kickoff. But it will be next week, Saturday at this stage, which is the 30th, I think. And the Bulls won't make the same mistake again. The Sharks will have to be at their best to beat the Bulls. Yeah, the Sharks will have to be the Sharks that we've seen in the Super Rugby last year, you know. Been a bit disappointed at how they've been playing over thing, but, you know, to be able to not play, and same as the Bulls. I mean, you could probably fairly say that on the balance of play, the team which had more opportunities in both this game and the first Currie Cup semi-final between the Lions and the Bulls is the team that's actually going to lose. Lions had more opportunities to score points, and they just butchered them. And the Sharks had good opportunity. I mean, the West Province had opportunities to score points, and they also just couldn't score the points. So this is, I mean, it's a mark of champions being able to play pretty poorly and get the win. Not that the Sharks play badly. I think the Sharks have been quite good in that they've defended brilliantly. I mean, they haven't given an inch. I'm also third captain spot at the Sharks. Also, Marcel Coetzee. Yeah, Marcel Coetzee is going to be, I mean, cheapers. I mean, the loose forwards in South Africa. I mean, somebody like Vincent Tuka, for me, is also somebody that's becoming difficult to ignore. But where does he fit in? You've got Peace Totoya, the best player in the world, at number 7. You know, Seeking was an Hodges playing some very good rugby. How do you fit him in? There's so many loose forwards in the country. It's unbelievable. Yeah, so the Western Province have a penalty, and we've got 5 minutes left. So do they kick a goal, get themselves within, and then try and score? I think they're going to have to. They're going to have to kick a goal here. JJ van der Mesh is a hard-working player who can help the Springboks in the future, and he plays a hard-hitting rugby and capitalizing in any situation if given a chance. Locks another position. I mean, you've got JJ van der Mesh, you've got Sal Murat, you've got Ruan Norkia. Lots of lock. I mean, guys, I mean, we can pick a position and we can debate the depth. It's unbelievable. Yeah, as Jan just said, Albert Lowe. I mean, Arno Boert is benching at the moment. The depth, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, how cool. I mean, that Springbok showdown sort of demonstrated it. But even then, I reckon if we had to do it again, we could add a lot more players. So, I mean, pick a position and we can debate some of the best players until the cows come home. There's so much talent in the country. 170 of great depth, 850, not so much. Yeah, scrum off for me is a bit of a worry, to be honest. I mean, I never really liked him, but Ivan van Zijl's playing some good rugby. But Herschel Yankees, I've been quite disappointed with him in this tournament. Neil Nahamba's had patches. Yeah, so scrum off, I think we're a bit short. I mean, obviously, you've got Faf de Klerk who'll come back in and take the starter, but who are you bringing after that? I mean, you've got to look, I suppose, maybe Kobus Reinach. Fly half after Pollard, it's a big debate. Wings, look, if Deontay came back, we'd have a lot of depth at wing. I think inside centres are a bit of a problem. Right, so meanwhile, the Western Province have made a hash of that. They've been driven back to their own half. They won a penalty on the halfway, but I mean, with 3 minutes to go, they really are running out of time here. I mean, 7-point game, so... Hang on, I got my entire scoreboard completely wrong here. No, man, sorry, my scoreboard's busy having a nightmare here. Okay, so the Western Province have got a line out in the Sharks' half. There's less than 3 minutes to go, and they've got a lot of points to make up. So they're going to have to score here, and then within the next 3 minutes. Oh, he dropped it. I think he dropped it. There's a knock-on advantage. There's an advantage there. Right, another penalty advantage. Running out of time here. 2.5 minutes to go. It's all very well getting the penalties, but if they can't score quickly, they're not going to have enough time to be able to have another go. So 5 meters line out for the Western Province. It comes down to this. They've got 2 minutes. They can't afford to... not to score, but to take the time. The yellow card is back. That helps. But yeah, I mean, time is ticking here. Oh, Jean Augustus almost go there. He's isolated though. And the Sharks got hands on the ball. They're not allowed to play it though. Oh, and they've dropped it. Going to Benny tries to clean up. 1.5 minutes. They're running out of time here. And they want another penalty. They don't have the time for this. Take it quickly, mate. Take it quickly. You have to take it quickly. Going to Benny takes quickly. They're on the 5 meter. They've got to score in the next minute. No, I'm a Lion supporter, not a Province supporter. I mean, the defense, to be fair, the defense across the game has been pretty good. And I can't wait to look at the stats because, I mean, one try, lots of opportunities, and I think that could be it. They've forced a scrum. It will be a Province put in, but with 40 seconds to go, I don't think they're going to have the time here. That should be the ball game with 30 seconds to go. And we've got an injury here. So the time has stopped. Yeah, I think that is it. I mean, we've got 30 seconds left to play, and the Western Province will have to win the scrum, score, take a conversion whether they get it or not, and try and get a restart within 30 seconds, which is a pretty big ask. So, as a Western Province supporter, I think the journey has come to an end. For Shark supporters, you'll be moving on to next week where you'll face the Bulls. And another disappointing campaign from the Western Province because they showed glimpses of being the side they should be. And I said, as a Western Province supporter, you must be pulling your hair out if you have any. Because there's just, it's on paper, there's so much talent and they just can't seem to get the results. Right, so here we go, 30 seconds. Can the Western Province pull off a miracle? Okay, time on, 30 seconds. Can they get a recycle, score, try within... They can't do it. I mean, we've wasted 10 seconds and we haven't even got to the blooming scrum. And a reset, that'll be it. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is it. The Western Province cannot win. That is it. The Sharks are in the Currie Cup final. They will have the scrum. It is pointless. Even if they score, they cannot be going through to the final. So it will be a Sharks versus Bulls final. That should be a fantastic watch. Next week, Saturday, time to be confirmed as we wait for the last scrum before the end of the game. So the Province can score a consolation try, but this is it. They are out of the Currie Cup. Them and the Lions are out. Bulls, Sharks comes down to one of them next week, Saturday. Oh, come on, guys. It's the end of the game. Can we just finish this? You don't have time for resets when the results have already been decided. There's no bonus points to you won here. It's the end of the game. It's the end of the competition for Western Province. Let's just call it here, shall we? Right, John Augustus takes it up. He's made well. Sharks defending for some pride on the scoreboard, and they've held him up. So not quite the Newlands farewell that the Province would have liked. They conceded a run right at the end, and there it is. Full-time whistle. Sharks 19, Western Province 9. That is the end of rugby at Newlands. That is the end of the competition for the Western Province. Thank you very much, everybody who's tuned in. Smash like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel below. We're trying to hit 600 subscribers, so please do join. Congratulations to all the Sharks fans. We'll see you in a week's time for Bulls versus Sharks, the Currie Cup final. It all comes down to 80 minutes. Not the most watchable game, but a very interesting contest, if nothing else. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back very, very shortly for the post-match review, which will be uploaded to the channel.